Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Dave, thank you so much for those generous words. We've known one another and worked together for more years than I care to count. Dave, as he said, is a Ketchum alum, and it fills me with such pride, David, to see how you've ascended to a position of leadership in this business that we all love so much. When Bill Nielsen called in June to tell me of the decision to include me in the Page Hall of Fame, first of all, I was flabbergasted, but I was lugging a suitcase up the stairs of a hotel in Hudson, New York. My wife, Betsy, and I had just arrived there to celebrate our son's wedding. Yesterday, here in London, Betsy and I celebrated our 38th wedding anniversary. Betsy, thank you so much for your love, your never-failing support, your partnership through the years. We did this together, and we share this honor. There seems to be great joy that comes along with the Page Hall of Fame. Amer, you certainly have earned the Distinguished Service Award, and as we're both agency citizens, I'm particularly pleased to share the podium with you this evening. Having served alongside you in the Society for many years, I've seen firsthand how your prodigious intellect and hard work have contributed to our profession. Congratulations. Being recommended by the Honors Committee and confirmed by the trustees means everything to me. And to stand along pioneers, giants of public relations and communications, Harold Burson, Larry Foster, Ed Block, Marilyn Laurie, Daniel Edelman, Bill Nielsen, John Iwata, and as David said, my predecessor as CEO of Ketchum, Dave Drobis, who was inducted into the Hall of Fame 8 years ago, this is the greatest honor of my professional life. Bill Nielsen, particularly thank you for your talks with me and your counsel. I really appreciate it. I'd also like to acknowledge a Page member who's here this evening, Karen Van Bergen. Karen is the CEO of the Omnicom Public Relations Group, and I could not have done it. Indeed, Ketchum could not have done it without the support of Omnicom. Thank you, Karen. And to Roger, please accept my gratitude for your personal support through the years, for your deep belief in this organization, for all you contribute to public relations and communications, and for your passion for our work. Thank you, Roger. As I prepared to speak with you this evening, and I looked back at the arc of our profession and where past Hall of Fame inductees have led us, and as I consider our future, I'm filled with great optimism. For those of you attending the dinner here in London this evening, today's leaders in corporate communications, leaders in agencies, leaders in public relations education, to all of our accomplished members around the world, for the work that we do, this is our time. They are exciting times. They're amazing times, but they're complicated times. Consider that every single second, at the crossroads of human communication and technology, 2.5 million emails are sent in a second. 193,000 text messages in a second. 219,000 posts are added to Facebook. 4,629 photos to Instagram. 30 seconds of video to YouTube. 7,259 tweets, all in a single second. We are undergoing a revolution in human communication. In fact, it's a revolution in the human experience. Every bit as profound as fire, the wheel, or the alphabet. And at the same moment that we're being propelled by this revolution in human communication, the world's geographic balance of power is being reformed. There's a shift in the world's demography. Millions are on the move from the Middle East to Europe, across Eurasia, across the African continent, and in North America. Access to resources is an increasing challenge. Water, for example. Access to fundamental human needs and rights, healthcare, nutrition, education. Struggles such as gender and racial and ethnic and religious equality. Economic disparities, and people are seeking, they're demanding transparency and purpose from institutions everywhere. For the discipline of which we are all a part, this macro complexity is driving transformation and putting in front of us the greatest opportunities in our history. Today's world, with all of its vicissitudes, is a world made for us. But opportunity does not come without challenge. As communicators, we need to do everything we have always done, but with greater skill, with greater speed, on a greater scale. And the mission of this great organization, the Arthur W. Page Society, to enrich and advance the leadership role of communications and communicators has never been more relevant. Today, we tell our stories in an ongoing global conversation. It moves at the speed of light. Yet ideas remain at the very heart of what we do. It's our narratives that empower us. As Arthur Page himself wrote in a letter to a colleague more than 60 years ago, and this is verbatim, public relations is the art of telling a good story well. Now, more than ever, our narratives must be authentic, more clear, more compelling. We succeed based on the singularity and the veracity of our ideas. We can move an individual, organizations, whole communities to share a way of seeing the world. We succeed when we connect with people. But our work also can form factions. The channels that we work in can become walled off. Ideas can do good or not. Building common belief is an awesome power. It's an awesome responsibility, and we must handle it with care. So amidst this all-encompassing change taking place at the speed of light, how does an institution succeed its leaders? And what's the role of communicators and communications? These questions have been asked of CEOs in a number of recent important studies. And time again, the answer comes back that business leaders are focused on and value institutional reputation and communications more than ever. They've come to realize that it's integral to their organization's success and to their success. For example, at the World Economic Forum's 2015 Davos Summit, the Said School of Business at Oxford University, in partnership with Heidrick and Struggles, introduced the findings of their CEO report, based on face-to-face interviews with 150 global chief executives. Those CEOs said they believe in the authentic sense of purpose for an organization, for their organizations, and for aligning in order to achieve it. They said, given intense stakeholder scrutiny, they're looking for new ways to communicate effectively. They say the old models don't work. They never were trained, quote, to be communicator in chief. And that's verbatim. It's about hypervisibility, they say. Forget what you learned at B school, says another. There are more audiences, more languages, more modes. It is our time. In PwC's 19th Global CEO Survey, presented just 8 months ago at this year's Davos Summit, more than 1,400 CEOs from 83 countries spoke of greater expectations from stakeholders, operating in society, of their belief that transparency and trust are critical. They see a need for consistent, dependable communication and for applying data and analytics to express performance around business strategy, purpose, and values. Nearly half are rethinking how they communicate brand. As is clear in these studies, as well as many others, as well as our very own page report, The New CCO, Transforming Enterprises in a Changing World, the need for effective strategic communications and communicators has never been more central. From communicators in corporations, to those working in influential not-for-profit and government institutions, to their agency advisors, the demands on us have never been greater, our work never more important, our value never higher, the purpose of this society never more pertinent. This is our time. From narratives rooted in sound strategy to real-time content creation, to participating in the global dialogue in this hyper-transparent world, to navigating transformational media platforms, to building lasting and trusting relationships with stakeholders and confidence in our institutions, to creating social value, to leading through the inevitable crisis, to forging culture and alignment, to interpreting the liquid new world of influencers, to leveraging the power of research, data, and analytics, to collaborating confidently with integrated teams. This is the sweep and the scope of today's communicators. This is the work being done by our accomplished members. This is our time. I would like to share with you the story of a young friend, Mahmoud Jabari, a friend of Bob Feldman's as well. As we do, Mahmoud believes deeply in the importance and impact of communication. This is a story for our time. Born in the Palestinian city of Hebron, Mahmoud was a communication major at Champlain College in the States, and now is doing his graduate work at the Fletcher School of Law and Diplomacy at Tufts University in Boston. The story in his own words goes like this. Growing up in a tense and divided place like the Palestinian city of Hebron makes life hard to live, hard to accept, hard to imagine beyond the daily realities. As a child, I was lucky because I dared to dream, despite the odds, and because I had parents who taught me the value of work. At the age of 11, while selling small household items at a street stand, I dared to believe I could have a brighter future and create one for others. The stand was wedged between two checkpoints that divided the northern and southern parts of my hometown. Every day during my summer working at the stand, I ate lunch with children my age, children who had to work to help provide for their families. The bread we shared made us brothers, not only in our daily work, but also in our dreams for a better life. And although we became brothers, unlike most of them, I had the chance to go to school. And because I was privileged enough to be getting a formal education, I aspired to become their voice and to become their advocate, both in Palestine and around the world. His goal is to return to Palestine with all that he's learned and apply it. Mahmoud says, we've been empowered by technological and intellectual tools. They've paved the way for us to become committed, engaged global citizens who share a responsibility toward challenges that face our community, our peoples, and our world. Mahmoud believes in the primacy and the power of communication. For Mahmoud, for all of us, this is our time. But there's something else, something of supreme importance. Character counts. It's about integrity. When everyone is able to create or react by the tap of a finger, when everyone knows everything, doing our work to the highest moral standards is not just a value, it's a practical necessity. In this constantly morphing landscape, a strong sense of integrity must be the core value of our work. In this world of hyper-transparency, this is particularly true. We must do it right, with verity, with credibility, with truthfulness. High standards must remain our guiding principle. For us and those to come, this is the clear path to continued sustainable success for our great profession. At Ketchum and in many other great agencies, this commitment is at our core. I'm fortunate to have worked at a firm where we demand this commitment of ourselves and in our work for our clients. Indeed, at Ketchum, as you look across our 93 years and across Ketchum's leadership, you'll find this abiding commitment to the highest standards. We believe this responsibility is incumbent on every one of us in the agency business and in our field. Today, nearly all of Ketchum's leadership everywhere around the world is working to continue to advance the profession and its standards. At Ketchum, this is not just something we say, it's something that we do. And as the Page Principles guide us, it's 90% doing and 10% talking about it. And then, of course, there is the work. For 30 years, I've been able to do work that I love at a place that I love. And today, Ketchum's CEO, Rob Flaherty's contagious excitement for the work has lifted the agency to new levels. You are seeing this reflected in this London meeting, which he is chairing and directing so magnificently. And with Ketchum's Barry Rafferty, our president, they've imbued the agency, indeed all of Ketchum, with a high sense of purpose. In 2008 and 2009, I served as chair of the Council of Public Relations Firms. Today it's called the PR Council. It's the association that looks after the interests of the agency business in the States. In that role, I was privileged to view broadly the agency world and so many of its leaders. I experienced firsthand their standards, their professionalism, their deep commitment to their employees and to their clients. For more than 100 years, all of us, agency, clients, educators, working together around the world, have built through mutuality of endeavor a new industry. We have defined a new industry. Over the last 100 years, important professional organizations and groundbreaking degree programs were created. Great firms, legendary communications departments were born and have grown. We've built strategic client and agency partnerships that drive performance. We've set standards for our discipline. We've developed and shared knowledge and best practices. We've come very far together. Yet much remains to be done. In a moment wrought with social and political complexity, economic and business volatility, technological and media disruption, financial constraints, let all of us in this room and the industry everywhere remain committed to our common interests. Let us leverage our collective strength and with the spirit of community that brought us to today, and to remain engaged with one another, let us continue for the next 100 years to build our discipline, to further define our discipline, to ensure our leadership in the world of marketing and communications, and realize the opportunity that awaits us in our next 100 years. Our time is now. But we will not realize the sense of purpose without the human resource, talent. Talent with the right skills and talent with character. Indeed, as you speak to client and agency leaders, to a person, they believe our future turns on talent and the development of our next generation being our most important work. So as I consider how I can make a difference, I have accepted an invitation to join the faculty at Boston University's College of Communication as a professor of the practice. It's a special and meaningful opportunity. I could not be more eager to mentor and help guide our students as they carve out their own personal, unique value propositions rooted in great work, with mastery of the skills needed for the future, grounded in deep business knowledge and ethical principles. By helping them learn to practice in this manner, I believe that high standards can be preserved and advanced in public relations for years to come. I ask that you join me in that important work, and that together we ensure that we have the talent to realize the promise of our discipline's next century. If I may step back one more moment to my days as a graduate student at Boston University, I'd like to remember a remarkable guy, Al Sullivan. Al was a gifted professor. He's long gone now, but his lessons have stayed with me for my entire career and my life. Al taught a class called Values and Ethics in Public Relations. Today, the course is taught by our own Don Wright, who holds the Harold Burson Chair at Boston University. Don is all about the development of talent. Al Sullivan was too. And Al's class was a tour de force. We read the great works of philosophy, religion, literature, the sciences. Al challenged our beliefs. He deconstructed them, if you will, and then he gently and skillfully helped us put our belief systems back together again. From my parents, I learned the importance of being a trustworthy person. Al taught us that your work must be trusted too. If you are trusted, people will believe you. If you're not, they won't. You must do it right and do what's right. So, as we consider this moment, as we work to define the future of communications, our place in it, let us make this commitment to follow the time-tested page principles, to allow them to serve as our guideposts. And not just say it, but do it the right way for the next generation, for ourselves, for our organizations, for our field, and for the common weal. In the 19th century, Charles Reade, a British playwright and novelist, wrote, "Sow one act, and you reap a habit. Sow a habit, and you reap a character. Sow a character, and you reap a destiny." Character counts. Yesterday, today, forever. And the formative truths of human communication remain as true as ever. Narratives are powerful. Ideas can change hearts and minds. Ideas can change the world. The time is now. Thank you again for this great honor.